Welcome to my masterclass. Today, you'll be talking about constructing your cash flow projection for your business. First of all, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Andrew, and I'm the co-founder of E3 Hubs and also the organizer of the EB Start 2021. I'm also the author of a book called Sidepreneurship, Staying Sane Amid Entrepreneurship Chaos. More about my book in my website, right? madentrepreneur.blog, my book. And I'm also a startup and business turnaround specialist. I love turning around businesses, and it's something that has been a passion since I first started my first work engagement. I also incubate startups and work with scale up to scale up their businesses. And I incubated at least 5,000 plus startups over the last 16 years of my business incubation career. I speak internationally, and I also train as a World Bank Incubator Manager Trainer. I'm also an angel investor. I've invested in some of my startups and also have exited in some of them. My big passion right now at E3 Hub is to build 1,000 entrepreneur hubs, empowering at least 1 million entrepreneurs around the world. So that is currently my big, hairy, audacious goal with E3 Hubs. Let's move on to cash flow. So cash flow, what is cash flow? Cash flow is about the movement of money in and out of your business. It is often referred to as the cash flow cycle. It is very important for you to understand cash flow cycle because cash is like oil in an engine. Whether you have small engine or big engine, you still need oil for for the engine to move. Small engine, big engine. Small engine need probably less oil compared to bigger engine. Bigger engine will require more oil. What does this mean? It means that the bigger the organization you are, you will need to burn more fuel, right? That's why sometimes we call it the burn rate. So how is this cash thing move? So always imagine what you can see on the left hand side. Money in and money goes out. Money in, money goes out. Money can come from various sources. It can come as a capital investment into the business. It can also come as a bank loan. It can come as a cash sales. Any sale of your product that is in the form of cash or in some way collectible account receivable, that means you collect from your customer whom you have given some credit terms, right? It goes back into the engine, and then the engine will turn, and then it produces whatever it pays out all the different expenses that is required from the business. For example, operational expenses, investing expenses, financing expenses, right? And of course, in the purchase of raw material, the raw material that you have, which is converted into finished goods, and finished goods are sold, and when you sell them, you collect money. So this is what we call the recurring cycle of your cash flow. Okay, so cash is king, right? Cash is king, and without cash, it's very difficult to go and run your business, in a more efficient way, because you'll be tied up with a lot of bottleneck. Imagine when there is no oil into your engine will size up, it will choke. So in the same case of a business, without cash, it will choke the business. Okay, that's what happened to some of the big companies during the COVID-19 pandemic, right? When they were overgeared. What I mean by overgeared means that they took on too much debt. The debt needs to be serviced, right? And how it is serviced? It is through the cash conversion cycle. So when COVID-19 hit, sales comes down, right? Everything was in lockdown. Sales came down, right? There's no cash. There's no cash to churn, right? So these big companies are unable to service their loan, and as a consequence, they have to file for bankruptcy. Okay. So one important aspect to understand about cash flow is to understand cash conversion cycle. Cash conversion cycle is very, very important. Uh, it's important to manage it very well. Because why? You have to manage the cash gap. The moment you take in your raw material, right, you are already owing your supplier. And imagine if the supplier does not give you credit terms, you have to pay them upfront. So your cash gap begins upfront. Okay? But assuming your supplier give you 30 days credit term, so you still have time to pay. But raw material need to convert into finished goods. So it takes time to convert to finished goods. Assuming the finished goods get converted and become an inventory, right? So it will take 60 days to achieve that until it hit the first sale. Okay? So from finished good to as an inventory to your sale, right? It may take 60 days. That means, in other words, there is a gestation period before you make the sale. Okay. Now, when you make the sale, okay, you also may have to give credit terms to your customer. Very unlikely that you will get payment upfront unless it is a fast-moving consumer item. Okay, or you sell via e-commerce. Even in e-commerce, you probably will have to wait maybe 3 days minimum, 7 days, and during the old days you have to wait until the month end. So now you have a cash gap, right? In this example, supplier give you 30 days, inventory gets sold within 60 days. Therefore, there's an initial cash gap of 30 days. And not to mention, you have to add on the credit term that given to your customer, which is 45 days. So your cash gap is 75 days. Now, a lot of things can happen in these 75 days, right? A lot of expenses need to get out. So you have to pay your supplier, you need to pay your employee salary. Bearing in mind, 75 days means 2 months, 2.5 months. So in 2.5 months, you have to pay salary, you have to pay rental, you have to pay operational expenses, and all the things that you have to pay, right? Including repayment of, maybe if you have a bank loan or something like that. All your commitment need to be paid. So what can you do when you have a cash gap? So this is where business owners resort to um, loan financing, working capital financing, or they advance the money into the company first, right? Or there are also other ways to remedy the situation. That means do more sales, right? When you do more sales, and you're able to collect cash upfront, that also helps to remedy the situation. More about that later, okay? But important thing is you have to know your cash conversion cycle, right? And to know the cash conversion cycle is the basis of where you start to do your cash flow projection. So there's a difference between profit and cash, right? There's a big difference between profit and cash. First, profit is not equal cash because there are certain elements in the calculation of profit that does not involve any cash. Okay, and similarly, there's certain elements in the calculation of cash inflow and outflow that does not involve profit in the calculation of profit. Okay, so profit is not equal cash. Then we have sales not equal cash because in sales you can get cash sales, but you can also have credit sales. So you have credit sales is not taken into account into cash calculation unless you collect the cash. That is why you need to do cash flow projection. You need to know when the outflow is coming in. When the inflow is coming in. Okay. So here's an example of the difference between profit and cash. A very simple example. So you look at income, which is 100,000, right? But the cash collected from that 100,000 sales is only 80,000. So already you can see there's a cash gap. Then you less off the normal expenses. We normally, in a very conservative sense, we will calculate outflow of expenses as if it's being incurred in the same month. Okay, unless of course you have a credit term given by a supplier. All right. So you let off expenses, then your profit in your normal profit and loss statement will show 50,000, but in your cash statement it will only show 30,000 because that is basically what you have, right, in terms of cash. Then you may want to add more inflows, like for example, a loan from a director, so it's 10,000. Therefore, cash on hand is 40,000. Now you less off outflows. When you less of outflows, these are some of the outflows that is not taken into the calculation of profit, which is basically loan repayment, machinery, income tax, right? And when you look at that, 20,000, 10,000, 25,000, you actually have additional outflow of 55,000. And you only have a current balance of 40K, therefore you are short of 15,000. Okay, so that's your cash deficiency, and that is basically a negative cash flow. Okay, so always remember, profit is not equal to cash. Now, all you need to know about cash flow again, cash inflow minus cash outflow, money in, money out, is either positive or negative cash flow. Positive or negative net cash flow. Okay, so cash inflows are most likely to occur from the sale of goods and services. Definitely, because we are a business. When you are a business, you sell products, you sell services. Okay, so that is where you, in the normal course of operation, you collect cash, or you collect cash. In the case of you give credit term, you collect your cash as and when the credit term is due. Okay, other inflows that might occur include proceeds from bank loan. So assuming that you took a bank loan, right, to bridge your funding gap, and some injection of funds by the owner. So these are all the cash inflow. Cash outflow, yeah, on the other hand, are most likely to occur from the purchases of goods and services. Again, you need to buy raw material, right? Produce it and then you sell. Okay, so that part, the purchases of goods and services, and also any other expenses relating to the operation of the business, will more likely become your cash outflow. Okay, the payment of the purchase will represent this cash outflow, right? Other outflows that might occur include repayment of the bank loan, operational costs. You may want to take money out from the company, purchase of machinery, for upgrading and paying of taxes and so on. So it's important not to confuse between profit with cash flow. Okay. So some sources of cash inflow or outflow. So just to give you an idea, right? Because sometimes it's not just about selling and you get money. There are also other ways to get cash inflow. So let's explore some of them. First, of course, cash sales. So when you sell something, you collect in cash, that becomes cash sales. Then of course, when your credit terms are due and you collect from your account receivable, that becomes cash inflow. Because cash deposit means that you may want your customers to give you a deposit first, right, as a commitment. So that also becomes an inflow. Prepayment, right? Prepaid card in mobile top up, these are all cash inflow. Dividend from investment, if you invest in either some other company that give you dividend or some investment instrument. Sale of asset, assuming that you want to sell your car or your van, to raise more cash. So these are all sale of assets. Bank interest that you earn from the bank because your money is in the bank. Okay, bank loan, shareholders advances, I think it's pretty straightforward. Grants, if you apply for grant, equity investment with investors, it could be convertible note, equity, preference share, convertible loan, and so on and so forth. Okay, now possible outcome of outflows is cash payment. Right, each time you pay out, definitely you have a cash payment. Then you have payment of account payable, so assuming that you have a credit term and you need to now service the credit term because it's due. This is where you put in your account payable. Purchases, payment of operating expenses, deposit payment, return of deposit. Deposit payment actually is like, for example, you apply for a TNB account, you need to put a deposit. That's also cash outflow. Return of deposit is that when your customer give you a deposit and now the job is done, right? And you may need to return a deposit. So that will become a cash outflow. Interest payment on bank loan, purchase of assets, machineries, etc., furniture, loan interest payment, repayment of advances, repayment of bank loan. So all these things are basically some of the cash outflow. So why is cash flow very important? Because to have a healthy cash flow is very essential in any businesses. Again, I mentioned earlier on, If you don't have enough cash, you will choke the business. And when the business is choked, then it's very hard for you to operate the business, and probably you will run out of business. So investors also look at cash flow projections to determine the viability of the business, right? So we can see from cash flow projection, we can actually see how viable the business is, right? And we want to know how much money that comes from sales and what is your burn rate. So we know basically what is the cash requirement to service the burn rate. So can cash inflow cover the burn rate or not? If cash inflow can cover the burn rate, I think that's a very good business, right? Because you're bringing more money, right, compared to your outflow. So how much longer is needed to achieve cash break-even point? Assuming the burn rate is much higher than the money coming in, because it depends on business strategy. Some business strategy say, okay, I acquire customers first, but I still need to burn, right? So you acquire customers, basically, customers don't have to pay yet, right? So ask them to come in to try, and then you try to do conversion, okay? So you acquire customers first, but you still need to burn, right? So you have negative cash flow. And in this kind of strategy, usually this kind of negative cash flow will be very dependent on how fast you can raise your investment, okay? So how much longer is needed to achieve cash break-even point? If something that I personally, I will look at it, right? Will it take 1 year? Will it take 6 months? Will it even take 2 years, 3 years? So these are questions that investors will ask. And soon after, how much cash can the business generate? So that's where you start to see, oh, the positive cash flow start to grow, okay? And that's the beauty part of it. When you start to see, then you get more excited, right? And all these will be taken into account, especially when valuing a company, right? We use the discounted cash flow method to value the company based on cash flow. So there's certain cash management strategies that you can use, right, to help to improve your cash conversion cycle. So in this case, two strategy. One is to accelerate your cash inflow, of course. Improve collection through factoring. Today we call it invoice financing, right? You can, there are many peer-to-peer lending platforms in Malaysia that actually do invoice financing. And some of them also give working capital loan, short-term working capital loan. You can also ask for pre-dated checks from your customer if you are not confident enough that they will pay you. So you ask for pre-dated, or in some cases people call it post-dated checks. And use of debt collector agencies when you are not able to collect money. You can tighten up credit requirements. So you know company A, B, C, who are the good paymasters, and if they are good paymasters, you can actually give them better credit terms, right? And those who are not good paymasters, you probably will not want to give credit terms. You can increase your sales, because when you increase the sales, there's possibility of cash sales as well. Give discount for early payment, right? If you want them to pay early before the due date, you can give discount. And also you can give pricing discount for those who are prepaying their products or their services. Okay. Now that comes to mind. A good example is like AirAsia. AirAsia always joke that if they need money, they just need to post a 10 ringgit promotion, right? Fly anywhere, and everyone will start booking for the 10 ringgit promotion. Now you have to understand the goal. The goal is to put people in the plane. The moment they are in the plane, right? There are few ways to monetize. One, food. Second, luggage. Third could be additional ancillary services that require insurance, and all those stuff. And of course, lastly, they can also monetize through the sale of merchandise. Okay, so this is basically a very clear-cut strategy on how you do monetization, right? By giving a no-brainer pricing, lock them in, and then only upsell. Okay. Now the next thing is to delay your cash outflow. When you delay cash outflow, you have to apply for longer credit terms with suppliers, asking for grace period, right? And there are some that will do installment. Okay. Some they negotiate and say, okay, I will do installment for you. And then you just try to smoothen out your cash outflow. Some will do delay payment. So they will delay 1 month, but the next month they will have to pay already. Okay, so this is some of the cash flow management strategies that businesses employ. Okay, so here I want to show you the cash flow template. So in this masterclass, we already have prepared a cash flow template for you to attempt to come up with a cash flow projection for your business. Okay, so this cash flow template will be available for you. All you need to do is to go to my E3 Hub e-booth, booth number 2. Go there and download this slide as well as the cash flow template. Please give me time to do this. So I will put it up within 24 hours. So this is the snapshot view of a cash flow template. Okay. I want to switch slide right now so that you get to see the actual cash flow template from Excel. So let's try to switch slide. Okay, so I believe you can see the cash flow forecasting template 12 months, right, in this file. Here, basically, is the main monthly cash flow projection that is separated by year, and over here we have from 2020 to 2025. So you start by putting in the cash balance at the beginning period. Okay, cash balance at the beginning period. So you can take this cash balance carry forward, balance brought forward using your bank statement. You take the previous month bank statement and take the carry forward balance and put it inside the current month. Okay, that's the simplest part. Then you need to examine the cash inflow. So this cash inflow comes from 3 different activities. One is operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities. Okay, so here the main one will be the operating activities because that is the main part of the business operation. Over here, you have to project your cash sales. How much sales, how much revenue, how much sales you are going to achieve. And out of this sales, the total sales, you also need to determine how much of it will become cash sales. So you put cash sales in the period where it is supposed to come in. The next thing you need to look into is how much money you can collect from your account receivable, considering that you are actually giving credit terms to your customer, right? Assuming the credit term is 45 days. That means if you are standing in January 2020 right now, your 45 days means that you will probably can only collect or when it becomes due in February. So you do a projection that the money, the remaining current month sales money will be collectible in February 2020. Next, you will look at your other income, which is from investing activities. So investing activities, if you happen to have a building and you're renting it out, so rental income will be one of the cash inflow. But of course, if when your money is in a bank, you want to put into fixed deposit, then you earn interest income. So this interest income will be computed into the cash inflow unless you roll over. You roll over your deposit. That means you don't take out the interest and you keep it there, right? So then that it will not affect your cash position, right? Because you don't use the money. Now, when you have dividend income, you mean a company pays dividend, and you can compute that into your cash inflow. So for financing activities, it involves, like, for example, advances from shareholders, advances by the owner, funding from new investors, bank borrowing. These are all financing activities. These are financing activities that finance the operations of the business. Okay, so you have to put in and account for it as a cash inflow the moment you receive the cash into the bank. Now that's the easiest part. The hardest part in the cash inflow is actually projecting how much sales you will make in a month. Out of these sales, how much will be cash sales and how much will be credit terms. And this credit term, right, you cannot account for it in the current month because you give them a certain due date. So it means 45 days. So you have to project ahead into February and compute that into the February collection. Okay, so that is the tricky part, right? Is to project sales and project when you're going to get the money. Okay. Next, we will look at cash outflow. So this cash outflow has many components. Okay, so especially in operating activity, there are many different components that have sub-components, very detailed. Right, you have to account for it in a very detailed manner. For example, cost of goods sold. Right, cost of goods sold, it basically consists of raw materials and maybe even a delivery cost from the raw material supplier to the factory. You know? So cost of goods sold, many components, and utilities, staff cost, upkeep of building expenses, rental, advertisement, which is marketing cost, administration cost, and so on. You have many different subcomponents. So in order not to clutter this main spreadsheet, that's where you create separate tabs, right, at the bottom here. So this tab is focusing on cost of goods sold, then we have utilities, we have staff cost, you have upkeep of building, rental, A&P, marketing expenses, administration costs, and other admin costs, right? And all these things are basically detailed out so that we know exactly what kind of expenses that we're going to incur, right? Okay, so that is from operating activities. Again, there are also cash outflow from investing activities, like for example, purchasing of machinery, purchasing of fixed assets. It could be furniture, it could be tables, right? So there are components where you do fixed asset acquisition. So that one, you have also need to put it into your cash flow projection. Um, then we have financing activities, right? Withdrawal from owners. For example, I advance the money to business and now I want to take back. So that's the repayment of advances. Installment payment, okay, to investors who have advanced the money, and bankers as well. For those who have loaned the money to you, you have to make a repayment to the bank. And of course, lastly, financial charges, the interest charges or any handling charges relating to the financing activity. So all in all, when you take all this together, you will know your total outflow. So you know a total inflow, you know a total outflow, therefore you will know your net cash flow, right? This is your net cash flow. Your net cash flow will tell you whether you're going to be positive in the month or negative in the month. If it's negative in the month, do we have a positive carry forward amount? If not, then it will be negative. Then you know that you need to raise more money, right? You need to find more money to basically at least zeroize the monthly negative. Okay, but when you look at this 12 months, right, you will know exactly when are the months that you will have a deficit. So when you calculate all the deficit together, you know a single total within the year how much money you need. When you know how much money you need, then you have several options. Again, raise more money, new investors, advance money to the company, right? Get a bank loan, working capital loan, okay, and create more sales. That's one of the possibilities. Okay, so that's how the cash flow template looks like. I will uh, I will pass this template to you. All you need to do is go to my E3 Hub e-booth, booth number 2, and download the template. Now I'm moving back into the main presentation slide. So just now, you actually saw the Excel template of the cash flow projection, right? So moving back to the presentation slide, so I come to my concluding point. So in conclusion, financial modeling is very important. You have to know, it's like feeling the pulse of your business, but in a dollar and cents manner. And it gives you the snapshot of your business feasibility and for you to know whether your business is viable or not. And financial modeling runs together with business planning. When you know your business plan, you know your business strategy, then you're going to map out in terms of dollar and cent and see what is the outcome. So that outcome can tell you whether your business is viable or not. And business plan and financial go together, especially when you're applying for banking and grant facility. And of course, when you're pitching to your investors. Your company valuation can also be derived from this projected financial modeling. Because why? When you use discounted cash flow method, assuming that you've done one year, but do another 2 years, 3 years, and possibly even 5 years. Okay, so you have a 5-year financial model, and then we do discounted cash flow. So when you do discounted cash flow using Excel calculation, which is quite simple, you will know exactly how much your company is worth today, right? What is the valuation based on discounted cash flow method? But of course, that's not the only way, right? There are also other ways for you to do valuation. And startups should have at least a cash flow financial modeling for them to track their cash position and for investors to see their cash position. Okay, and with the cash flow projection, you'll be able to manage your cash position even better. And this is called cash flow management. And if you manage your cash flow well, then you will be able to build more value into the business. All right. So, how can we help you? Right? Do you need help in your startup, in your business, in your cash flow management, or even growing your business? So this is where E3 Hub come in. We have a very special membership package, right? So we call it the E3 Hub Effectuator Lifetime Member. This is basically our very basic product that we give to all our entrepreneurs because we want to touch as many entrepreneurs as possible. So what is this membership involved? Okay, so it's a lifetime membership. It's a virtual business support membership, right? That will give you mentoring, business advisory from our resident coaches, which include me. You can ask me anything, anytime, online, right? We have a special platform where we actually onboard all our E3 members into the platform, right? To become a closed loop business ecosystem. You can schedule live one-on-one with me every month, right? To keep yourself or us on top of your business. And in addition to that, we also have a very special Chaos Leadership program, with our signature program actually. And Chaos Leadership helps entrepreneurs to get a lot more clarity about their business, where the business model is, where to strengthen, right? What are the basic building blocks of the business that we must know and we must strengthen. Then come up with a business strategy, which is what I call a growth action strategy. It's all about growing, right? It's not about stagnant. We go into business not to lose. We go into business not to be, to be flatline. We go into business to win. So we have to play to win. So the strategy is a strategy of winning, and then the execution part is also very important. So all these are basically covered in the Chaos Leadership program, and it's a very intensive 3-month program where we meet every week in a group of entrepreneurs. Okay, so try it. It's one of the best programs that we have come out with to help our startup entrepreneurs. So we also have 2 startup toolkit, business templates, resources, access to mentors, access to experts, and you also get to enjoy free perks, free cloud credit, and also some discounted rewards and perks. Okay, be part of the E3 Hub global community, global community of entrepreneurs and experts, right, in the Global Entrepreneur Acceleration Network, GEAN. Okay, and because of EB Start period, we will also throw in a free ebook called Sidepreneurship, Staying Sane Amidst Entrepreneurship Chaos. So this free ebook is yours when you become a member of E3 Effectuator, lifetime member. Okay. Now, what does this involve now? How much it costs? You may be asking. So over here, to be a member, our retail price is 199 ringgit one off. Okay, 199 ringgit one off to get at least 10,000 ringgit worth of membership benefit. Now, for this E3 e-business, EB Start 2021, you're going to have a special offer for those who sign up during EB Start 2021. And this special offer involves 150 ringgit, one off. So we give you a 49 ringgit discount to encourage you to sign it up for E3 Effectuator Lifetime Member at a price of 150 ringgit, one off. All you need to do, scan the QR code. Scan the QR code in front of you to get into our payment system, and you just need to pay and become a member. And we will send you an onboarding email for you to become to be onboarded into our E3 Entrepreneurs platform on DingTalk. Okay, and you can also take note of this link, which is a payment link, which is embedded into the QR code. So here, it's a special offer to you, and we hope that you will take it up because we really want to work with you on your business, right? If you are thinking of growing your business, right, and you feel that you need someone to walk that journey with you, E3 Hub is that organization that will help you and walk together with you on your journey towards your entrepreneurship success. Okay, so that's it. That's the end of my presentation. You can get my contact number as well as my email address here in case you have any queries. And now I will be moving on to the question and answer time. And I look forward to see more questions from you in the next session coming soon. Thank you.